Maybe my phone won't fall down. I just thought I was thinking about, well, I did make a video, but I bunny trailed way too much, and and it was about another thing anyway, but I have seen some of those testimonies of the survivors of that festival that never did get taken into captivity. I've seen some of those back when they came out, and I haven't been able really to keep up with if all of the hostages have been released. And of course, you know, now some are coming back in boxes or bags or whatever, and just those stories of the ones who were not kidnapped. And then I've seen the one where the girl, her arm was severed, and they had a veterinarian, which that's their common lingo for the Jews, is their dogs or pigs. Okay, so whenever I've commented, I've always said the beautiful Jews, they're so beautiful, you know, because these creepy people, the T's, ter, or ice, you know, that word, they're just really demonic. So they grow up, you know. My sister dated an Iranian. Her name's Dee Dee. She's the one that, if you saw my history thing, we're like 4 years apart. We look a lot alike. She dated an Iranian, and for quite a few years, and she actually went to Iran back in '89 when there was I forgot what was going on then, and the Pastars police, if you had one strand of hair out of your chador or whatever, they could get you, right? Well, and then we all know what happened to that one Iranian girl. Well, anyway, and then there were signs on the street, just like a street sign would say 30 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour. They had those kind of signs all over the streets, she said, back then, that said, I forgot what she said they said, and I just found this out like last year. They said, Israel must die, or the Jews must die. I mean, okay, so it's not just the Gaza and stuff. It's all, we all know Iran wants them dead, right? So anyway, it's about, so then, you know, of course, October 7th happened. So hearing those testimonies that I heard back then, and like I said, I haven't heard many now. I've heard of some of the testimonies where they did get released, and I mean, I just couldn't eat. I was just like devastated almost. Trying to imagine how it feels, you know, no air, living in a cave. The one that eventually they got shot, the group of them, the Omar, I think, his arm got blown off. And okay, so my point is, if anybody wants to support the Jews, the Jewish channels, I mean, of course, support them with everything, your prayers, money, whatever you have. But also, when this happened, October 7th, I tried to sub to as many of those Jewish channels as I could. And just because we forget. And, you know, my point is that one of those stories, either they didn't get captured and they lived through it and they're testifying, they feel like they're dead inside. They feel like they can't even love anymore. It's so traumatic. Just one of those stories, if it ever had happened to any of us, or in America, or in another country, see, that would be a story. Like, if any of you remember the girl that got kidnapped, what is her name? Something Smart, Elizabeth Smart, and how that roofer, creepy guy, religious weirdo kidnapped her, had her for 9 months, and made her his. And then they finally found her and captured her back. See, she's infamous. Stories like that. Then even the little girl that now she has a pine cone. She wears a pine cone. She was kidnapped at like 10 years old. They finally found her after she had had 2 nearly grown kids. And her captor let her finally work for him. She raised her kids in the backyard. He raped her since she was 10. I mean, what is her name? She's an American. And she wears a little pine cone because that's sort of, that was the last thing she felt. The guy gassed her. He put a thing over her mouth as she was walking to school. And then she passed out and then woke up in his shed where he and his creepy wife kept her all those years. And then eventually when he could impregnate her, because she probably didn't have a period at 10 years old, and he would put makeup on her and everything and bring her things to put on to wear for him in that shed. And then she finally got pregnant. She had 2 kids, and when they finally found her, I think she was in her early 30s, and she had one that was 18, but maybe she was young. I don't know, because she probably had those 2 children probably at like 12. Who knows? So anyway, those stories are infamous in the American, if any of you guys are old enough. And then even today, maybe we're too jaded to even care about stuff that happens like that nowadays. But these Jews, and just one of these stories is hell enough for it to live in infamy. Yet there are a lot of them, a lot. I haven't like seen like the choices of how many a lot, but I bet there's a lot, and I know they've probably made videos somewhere, and their stories need to be honored by listening to them. Listen to the gore and the hell and the heinous, all of it. It is, if it's gross, too gross for you to watch, then that's heartless, if you ask me, because it happened to them. It happened. And it's not their fault. Of course it's not their fault. And it happened to our people. They're our people. In Romans it says he cut the main branch off to graft us in. He said, I can graft them back in. And that we are grafted in because of them. And just various things. That's not like the only, he talks, I love Romans the way, I think they're all going to be saved. I understand Christians want to evangelize to them, but their ears and eyes are closed. Go ahead and do it, that's fine, but I don't know where the Bible says to do that. But I mean, God has closed their ears and eyes for us, till the fullness of the Gentiles. And it plainly says there, I think, in Romans 11, that all the Jews will be saved. Paul says that, all of them, because God closed their ears and eyes, okay? God did it. And now some of them do come to Christ. Great. There's a guy named Jonathan Bernis, and Sid Roth might have written the book, maybe John Bernis, and it was years ago, and I forgot what the book is called, but it's a compilation of all the Jews that have come to Christ, what their stories were. And, statistically, most Jews are atheists, pretty much, according to those testimonies. But yet they'll still go through the holy days and the motions, okay? But they really, and then you'll hear near-death experiences of these Jews that are atheists. And they're atheists, a lot of them, because of the Holocaust. So this is similar. This is like a Holocaust. Again, the whole world doesn't care. The whole world's forgotten. The whole world... These stories should be like required watching in schools or anywhere. All of us, required. And I mean, I know there are some videos that Hamas took that they won't show on public TV, but they showed it to some journalists, and some of those journalists left crying and throwing up and whatever else, I forgot what they said happened, but these journalists, you know, the ones that cared. So yeah, their stories deserve to be heard. And right now, I mean, they're being forced to smile. They will be brutally beaten, these girls. Ones we see coming out of these cars, we all know they're faking the smile and saying they treated us well. We all know that. We all have a brain. But the ones they're not putting on camera that got released because they can't walk anymore, or they've taught them to walk days before they're released because they were crammed in a ball for a year or over a year. Okay, so, and they look like walking skeletons. Yes, I know. But I mean, some of these girls, young girls, don't put it out of your mind. Don't put it out of your mind. I've prayed for the women, for the girls and the women, even the men. They rape the men just for fun, just because it's humiliating. Okay, so these girls not only are getting raped, they're being beaten within an inch of their lives. Okay, they're coming back dead. They feel dead inside. And I have always prayed that they no PTSD, and that God will turn that into good. Their scars, meaning their inside scars. And then even maybe the testimonies you see of them, the videos where they're hugging their family and smiling and crying, they're just showing those clips because, you know, they don't want the enemy ever. Has anyone ever noticed since day one how strong these people have been? It's like supernatural. And it's almost like they know that they cannot show any emotion, like crying. Please bring my daughter back. You know, if this was America, we'd be on the news, slobbering, blubbering, crying, kicking and screaming. I want my baby back. They won't do it. They won't do it because they don't want. Then their loved one over there is going to get beat even more. They're going to get beat even more. It's not just physical, it's psychological. It's like they're parading them around. They brutally rape and gang rape them and whatever all else they're doing. And then they make the girls smile and say thank you, pretty much. Thank you. Okay, so listen, this is, I mean, even now recently when they're starting to release them and then the stories are coming out, I haven't been able to hear them all, but I've heard enough. If I can find them, I will watch every single one of them, and I will thumb up and I will subscribe. I've seen this one girl, Sappy, S-A-P-I Cohen, because that's a Jewish name. Her testimony, and her boyfriend did get released. Okay, so I mean, listen, you guys, if this happened to one American or one other Western country that has freedom, this would be top news. This would be top news. The atrocity, just one person. This has happened to hundreds of these people right now today on October 7th. Not today. I'm saying today's world. This is heinous. That's not even a good enough word. Demonic. It is so demonic. So demonic. And I just pray with my whole heart for these people. And they're so strong. And that's because God made them that way. Because they're the light to the world. They're the ones who brought the world monotheism. One God, one true God. One true God. And you know what? I don't think they went around begging and pleading people to follow him either. Jesus didn't either. Jesus didn't beg people to follow him and, you know, whine and cry and try to soup it up and, oh, let me get some signs. I'm not dogging that. I would get signs. I would get signs, and I would stand on a street corner also. I think we do it because we're trying to keep people out of eternal hell. That's why we do it. But Jesus never pleaded and begged anyone to follow him. He's a loving gentleman. So anyway, and there was something else. There is a channel. Oh, and like the Parable channel I was telling you about. I was watching that for a while back like last year maybe. And I do love the couple of them. But then I got to looking at it the other day. And I remember now, I think it's the History Channel type thing. They're from the history. But I mean, like I said, I believe whoever is documenting it, I believe that they're like 3-hour-long videos. They teach about how Catholicism came about and where the Pope came from and when they first got their Pope. And just stuff like that. And, I can't remember everything in the videos, but it rings true with me. And, but in some of their maybe newer ones, they've got a guy in there. And he's called the investigator. And he investigates these things. And now that's still interesting. But I like the ones that are older. Okay, so then there's another channel. And I'll put it in the description, and then that Parable channel, I'll try to find the few that are good that can tell you a bunch of good stuff, like the history of the Bible, the history of the Christians, the history of the Catholicism, the history of you can just peruse it yourself. Just go way down to the bottom. Don't start up with the new stuff. I don't think I sub to them anymore, but I might. It's just because I didn't want their newer stuff. I liked them. Okay, and then there's another channel, and I don't remember the name, but I'll share that in the comments. It's pretty interesting. It showed up in my feed one day about the Jews, and we all know the two are Sephardic and the other common name, but there's actually a third one. And then just to know when Noah and the whole world began again, we're all kind of descendants of Noah. I mean, wouldn't you want to know who's who? Why are some black, and then some are Chinese? I mean, so we're all kind of connected, I think. But anyway, that's too deep for me right now. I mean, even to get into now. But I'm just saying, if you're interested. But I had seen something a few months ago about these 3 types of Jews. And that's how they kind of know when they go back to Israel if they're Jewish and stuff. So I forgot what I was going to say about that. But now they've got a video. There's this story of a lady. See, I wear this. So a customer came in around Christmas time to give Christmas cards to Patrick and me, I guess. And she's a regular. Well, I didn't know she was a Jew. But because she saw my necklace, she asked me if I was. And I said, no, I'm not. But I support the Jews. And then she said, well, I'm a Jew. And I kind of know her. I've delivered the flowers to her. She's very tiny, little skinny thing. And she's some kind of health, holistic doctor thing out of her home. And so anyway, she was also giving those Christmas cards to say, hey, I'll give you a free whatever. I think she might even do massages. I don't know. So she even does blood work. So somehow we got on the subject of blood and Jews. And by the way, I don't think she's atheist, but I forgot what she said. Maybe she's just not a practicing Jew, but she has been reading about it lately, and she doesn't like going online for anything. She doesn't watch a TV. She doesn't like it. She's probably my age, maybe a few years older. Maybe she's 60. I don't know. But she doesn't want to. Plus, she probably is thinking those waves, that you get, those waves, whatever they're called, microwave things that come off your box, cable box. Some people really believe in that stuff, and I'm sure it's true, actually, because they have meters that can measure that crap that gets into your house. So I know it's there. I'm not saying it's not. I didn't mean to sound like that. But anyway, so I was trying to show her this, because there's Sephardic Jews and then the other kind. And then I was like, and then, I don't know why we got on the blood thing, but I told her my mother has that rare blood type, Rh negative, okay, Rh negative. And then I think there's a blood type that's even more rare than that. My mother has that rare blood type, okay? Well, she's gone now, but she did, okay? But I just talk like because Jesus conquered death. So nobody's really dead, y'all, okay? They're actually more alive than they ever were. They're just not here. But my dad has the universal blood. Oh, well, after they had their first child, the doctor had to stand by for in case they needed a blood transfusion, and then they said you can't have any more kids after this one. Your blood doesn't mix. My mom and dad's blood didn't mix. So then that was before there's a shot that you can give when this happens. So yeah, they ended up obviously having 4 more, and they just give her the shot before the baby's born, I think, because right before the baby's born, I think the blood chooses its own blood, the baby, I think. I don't know. But anyway, somebody else knows that, and good. Okay, but I know that it's a thing. So, yeah, so they give the mother the shot to keep the blood, because they said if you continue to have kids like this, they're going to be born... deformed, brain damage. I hope I don't got no brain damage, but actually we all have brain damage. And we're all dying every day too, so. But yeah, they could be born severely problematic and all. And so, but yeah, they maybe had, this was in 63, so maybe by 64 they had this shot they gave her. And, but now, the thing is, so this Jewish lady was telling me about this Rh negative blood type. She's been reading lately that it's really not human, and that it could be Nephilim. And you know what? I agree. I've heard Chuck Missler, a lot of his stuff, and I've heard everybody else's opinion now about Nephilim and stuff. But you know what? Honestly, I had a question as soon as this stuff started coming out. I'm like, honestly, really, can Nephilim really be here? I mean, after the flood, everything died. Unless, not even birds stayed alive. There was no way really they could have survived. And I agree with this one pastor, Nolan. I found a video about that, and he gave some Bible verses, and he did mention Chuck Missler, and he said Chuck Missler is a genius, and he's brilliant, but he did not look at a certain other translation thing. I mean, I saved Pastor Nolan's video, so if you guys see something like that about Nephilim, if you could get in there and look around. So Chuck Missler didn't look at the other, because see, like I said, there's something called the Mishnah, maybe, where they're commentaries. There's also Catholics rewrote some of those Hebrew books, and some of them they didn't, and some were, just things were compromised. So, but Pastor Nolan knows, and he's got a background of doctors. His siblings, his youngest sister was the youngest doctor in Oklahoma. He's from Oklahoma. So anyway, he's not a doctor, but he's very, he likes to really study this stuff. So Chuck Missler didn't look at the other something, where it's worded a little differently, where nothing survived. So anyway, this Jewish lady, we'll call her Sarah. I think she said that's her Hebrew name. And anyway, she said that she thinks that that is Nephilim blood, and that she has been reading about that. And then lo and behold, today on that channel, I was looking for that video on the 3 types of Jews, because I was going to make a video here about these suffering Jews right now and link that. And I see in the videos, I'm looking, because I didn't watch like every video of theirs, but their videos sound really cool. And I see 2 of them with titles about that blood type, Rh negative. Is it Nephilim? Is it real blood? Is it human blood? And actually the R stands for a man-made initial from like the rhesus monkey, I think, that they did these tests on because they were trying to get a something to make the blood for people that have that blood that they can't. Even I have a niece that has that blood type, and she has to donate her own blood, you know, if she ever had a planned surgery, right? Because it's very rare. Well, this is my opinion, and I'm not gonna, do I need to go or not? Oh, thank you. And I'm just saying, I personally, okay, this is another question I had in the very beginning when everybody was talking about the Nephilim and it started being a thing again like 2 years ago. Well, what if you're dating somebody who's a Nephilim? What do they keep to themselves and they don't? I mean, they're going to do the same thing. What has been done will be done before. Is that Ecclesiastes? Everything that's been done will be done again. So if those Nephilim screwed around with the daughters of man on earth back then, they're going to do it again. They're going to do it again. They're not going to be down here on this earth saying, no, we better keep to ourselves. We better not do that again. So all the Nephilims are all procreating somewhere. You know, what if I've dated a Nephilim before? What if you have? What if you've got kids? What if you married somebody? How would you like that? But nobody ever wants to talk about that. They just say, oh yeah, there's some Nephilim. Well, can you just not think, except for, can you think forward a little bit? If you think forward a little bit and you're saying that there's Nephilim walking, that means your daughters and sons might be dating some. That means they're having babies with some of them. That means your granddaughters, grandsons, great, and all this. Think about that. Think about that. So all I'm saying is that videos about the Rh negative, and even this Jewish lady reading her books and whatever she's saying, she's thinking that it's not real blood. Hold on, babe. I'm just asking you guys to think. And don't just like say, oh yeah, what they're saying, that sounds good, yeah. Ooh, there's Nephilim around here. You gotta think beyond the message. Beyond the message. So if you're going to think beyond the message, that means maybe you're married to some Nephilim. Maybe you've had some kids with some Nephilim. Maybe your grandparents. Maybe you have no choice because you don't even know who they are. I mean, it's just, to me, it's ridiculous. And I've always thought that. Not bad ridiculous. Not like I'm saying that's ridiculous. But I'm just saying, when I heard that Pastor Nolan, and it's not like I listened super carefully, closely, but I mean, I got the understanding that, yeah, you're right. I believe what you're saying. There are no more Nephilim. Now, if there are and I'm wrong, woo-hoo, praise God, blessed be his name anyway. You know, I'm going to bless God anyway, no matter what the devil has done to destroy and corrupt humanity as best he can. But, because he's not going to win. But what I'm saying is, I really don't think that can be possible. Otherwise, we've all got some mixture of Nephilim in us since Noah. Right? I mean, they're not keeping to themselves. Just like they didn't keep to themselves back then. So I believe this Pastor Nolan that it was missed. It was skipped. Chuck Missler didn't read the other, however he explained it. And you know, I love Chuck Missler. I'm not dissing him, and I have no disrespect for him. I have the utmost respect for him. He's brilliant. I'm just saying, you don't have to always go with the grain. If you have an opinion or a belief that isn't heretical, it's okay. I mean, I can be one in the 1 billion that don't believe the Nephilim survived. And that pastor that explained how he explained it, I mean, maybe I'm with the other people that, and I'm with that pastor. So I'm not the only one. But I'm just saying, think about the other scenario. If you're going to be all jumping on board, yeah, there's Nephilim out here, you need to think about the past. Maybe you got some Nephilim in you. You know? And then, if you can find any testimonies from these Jews, please honor them and watch them. And please comment. And please put a like in supporting them, because they need it. And write a prayer in there. Whatever. Because I'm going to do that. Is any free chance I have, I'm going to do that. And I will want to also maybe do a video praying. I'll just pray, you know, if anybody wants to pray with me. Okay, love you guys. God bless you. Bye.